This is Judith Marians in Los Angeles, California, USA.
And Andrea Kleibel-Kurtzman in Vienna, Austria.
Welcome to Brava, your podcast guide for women in the creative industries.
Today, Judith and I are here to talk about the best way to handle criticism. Sometimes we all can get uncomfortable, even intimidated by criticism. Is there a way to avoid that and come out ahead?
There's a way to deal with it. I'm not sure that we can ever really completely submerge our feelings, but the answer is yes, you can do it better. First, I'd like to address your use of the word intimidate. You're talking about how you feel when you receive criticism. And on that note, I want to give you my studied opinion of the trope, don't take criticism personally. I don't believe that for a minute. I think it's a lot of bunk. Of course, criticism is personal. When somebody is critiquing you, they're talking about what you did, how you did it, what the result of your effort was. So it's personal.
But if you're being critiqued on some specific performance on your part, is it about the performance or is it about you?
It's really about both. But whatever the subject of the criticism is, it's something that you generated. The person on the other side of the desk is talking to you. It didn't happen sua sponte on its own accord. So it happened out of your mind, out of your effort. So in my opinion, not only is saying it's not personal erroneous, but it's bad advice.
Why do you think it's bad advice?
If you were told not to take criticism personally and you still feel humiliated and you still feel guilty or ashamed or embarrassed because you can't get rid of your feelings, they come on their own, then not only do you have to deal with something you did that was wrong or not up to par, but you also have to deal with the fact that you're feeling something that's wrong. And you now have to deal on two levels, your skills and your emotions. And that's very confusing and it's really too much to handle. It's also not correct.
Things get more difficult if feelings are involved. That's a very human thing. What are you suggesting then instead?
Well, unless you want to be a robot, your feelings are involved. And yes, of course, they do mix things up and they do muddy the field. But if you're denying the sensation that you're feeling, then you have to fight yourself. You have to say to yourself before you even respond, how do I submerge these feelings that are not supposed to be there? Instead of how do I handle the feeling that is there, that's really there, so I can deal with this critique in the best possible fashion.
So it's ultimately essential, you're saying, to identify your feelings first so you can manage them and they don't explode unchecked, of course. Or these feelings can also keep you from hearing what's being said, which is definitely always going to be to your detriment because you'll miss out on the important message at the core of it. But once you've got that managed, what's next?
Okay, once you know you're going to feel bad, a little or a lot, when you're criticized, it's very important then to listen without talking. People seem to jump right in and try to defend themselves or explain themselves or excuse themselves. Don't do that. Listen for information. When somebody's critiquing you, they're giving you information, one hopes. They're giving you facts or particulars. Don't interrupt them. Let them finish. And then try to address what that information is, because that's the whole point of this confrontation if somebody's really dealing with you in goodwill.
This seems like a key moment in the critique. Where does one go from there?
Once again, assuming somebody is really talking to you in goodwill and not just attempting to take you down a peg, then you feed back what you believe that other person has said to you because you want to make sure that you're hearing things right. So I would say something like, you thought my report really didn't address the main issue, or you thought I didn't show up for the meeting well prepared. You need to be able to confirm that what you're hearing in your mind, because it is mixed in with feelings, is what that person is trying to present to you. Then you always acknowledge the value of the concern of the person who's talking to you. You don't minimize it and you don't demean them. You don't attack them. There's no fighting in criticism.
I can see that an emotional response that's left unchecked could cloud what the issue really is and then sidetrack everything into the realm of feelings, which is never good, and who's right and who's wrong.
You never want to get sidetracked. That's where you really muddy the field and where you get yourself into worse trouble. So you have to really begin to stick to what's being addressed. And you can only do that if you stick to the issues. And you can only do that if you listen for the issues. and you respond to the issues. So don't apologize unless you feel that what you did was really so subpar that it requires an apology. But what you want to do is ask for direction and just say, how would you like me to do this the next time? Or you can say, I understand what you're saying and I know how to do it the next time and it won't happen again.
But what do you do if the criticism is overly broad or just blatantly misplaced?
I think you need to speak up, but you have to do it tactfully and respectfully and with the facts. I was once accused of not showing up and doing enough work for one of the executives I was connected with. And the head of the company came in and said that that person complained about the fact that I just wasn't paying attention to him. And I said, just give me 20 minutes. And I always kept a book of every project I worked on. So I made a list of every project I had worked on in the last 3 months and gave it to him. And there was a list of about 30. So it became very clear that the person complaining about me was off the mark for other reasons, and that I was doing what I was supposed to do. So you want to address it with the facts. You don't want to address it with, you always pick on me, or how come you never say this to other people? That's very petty. Be professional and stay with the facts. And if you think that you're in the right and they're in the wrong, then respond with the facts.
How do you do that in the way that expresses the truth and at the same time it's seeking a remedy? I mean, do you have any examples for that?
You can say something like, I see the importance of your concern, and I'd like you to know, for instance, if you're talking about late delivery that you were in charge of, that this vendor always showed up on time, and this was the first time he missed out. And now that he has given me notice that he's not always reliable, I'll pay more attention to it because I can see how important it is. And if it's not really your responsibility and you're being blamed for something you're not in charge of, you can point to the person that's in charge without really accusing them and just say, I can talk to Mary Jane. She's in charge of this, and I'll make sure that she pays attention to this in the next go round. So my response is always seeking a remedy and not seeking to defend myself.
Now, we all know the situation of office politics or envy. How do you handle criticism that's not done in good faith? And how can you tell the difference between bad faith and good faith criticism?
I think that's pretty easy to tell the difference. I think bad faith criticism, somebody's talking about you, and good faith criticism, somebody's talking about an issue. So if you don't hear issues and you don't hear facts and you only hear things like you're not dependable or you never do X, then it's bad faith. Or it's just somebody who doesn't know how to critique. In any case, it's wrong. And I think you have to listen to the words being said and it becomes clear what's happening. And then you can go forward from there. Are you talking about something you were remiss in, or is somebody trying to humiliate you?
So how do you handle someone who's trying to humiliate you? How do you handle someone who's acting in bad faith, who's out there to unsettle you, or worse, out there to hurt you?
The first thing, once again, is to control your emotions, because probably you're enraged or angry or want to get retribution immediately. So keep focus on the facts. And if there are no facts being said and they're just talking about you and your personality, then you can ask, can you tell me what the issue is that you're concerned with? Make them stay with the issue. And if they can't stay with the issue, you can say, I can see that you're concerned about something, but I'm not clear what it is. So can you please clarify that for me? So bring them back to being responsible in their addressing you without saying, I know what you're doing. I know what this game is about. I was once remiss in a deal I was doing and I made an error. Fortunately, it didn't echo into any bad result. And I was taken to task by the person I worked for, who was really kind of a mean little man. And he just went at me and attacked me one after another. And I said, you're right. I can see what I did wrong and it won't happen again. And he kept wanting to bring me to tears because that was his nature. And all I did was look at him and didn't say anything. He had to stop because I wasn't hitting the ball back.
But he was at your level, or he was somebody who...
No, he was my superior. I said to him, I hear what you said. You're absolutely right. I missed that point and it won't happen again. I know how to handle it. And from there, he just wanted to keep going. Don't you see what this could have happened? Don't you see how much money we could have? And I just kept looking straight at him because I gave him the only valid explanation and response I could give him, which is, this is an issue I see. This is an issue that won't happen again. This is an issue that I can address. And everything else was to try to make me feel bad. And I wasn't going to buy it.
Sometimes you get criticism from a peer, not just from somebody higher up. And I think all that we've discussed now is true the same. So the takeaway would always be, try to ignore the tone. Try to keep the feelings out, recognize your emotional response so that you can keep that in check. Listen carefully to what's being said and seek out the facts and acknowledge the value of the criticism. And above all, offer solutions, resolutions to avoid future mistakes, and just stick with the issue.
Stick to the facts and respond to the facts. Leave personalities out of it.
The next time we'll be talking about the ABCs of problem solving.
Thank you for listening to Bravo.